Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to Free Blurrgs and a Bounty, the only Mandalorian discussion show hosted by the Imperial Senate Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Ashby, and joining me today are my fellow Bounty Hunter Guild comrades. First up, it's our lovable Lego King, Nicky Kuma,
Howdy, everyone. Double
and
hand wave.
ooh, we also have Queen Kowakian herself, Clare Stribling.
Hello, long may I reign.
And I don't know if you can notice, but we have a special guest tonight. It's Gizmo, the Mogwai.
We do. We do.
Okay,
Just
buddy.
in case Dooku, that's his substitute for when he starts getting all crazy. Last night, in the middle of our recording, it was prime feline zoomy hour. And he kept like jumping up and tried to attack me. So instead of him biting me in the middle of the videos, I would just go and have him attack Gizmo.
So just to clarify, zoomy hour means he runs around a lot.
Yeah, zoomy hour is like full on sprinting laps around the apartment.
Because when you said it earlier, I'm not gonna lie, I was like half asleep. I just imagined him on like a laptop conducting business meetings.
To be fair, he did that too. He did try to sit on my laptop at one point, so it's a little of both, really.
Does Gizmo talk?
No, I wish.
So it doesn't go.
Fortunately, no. Otherwise, I would never ever let the Dukes play with him because it would just make me too sad. As he's digging his claws and his teeth into him.
One of my favorite SNL sketches is the one where they keep getting the phone ringing. I think it's like Seth Rogen, Bill Hader, and Andy Samberg, and Bill Hader just picks up the phone and goes, puts the phone down and goes, I don't know who that was.
Good.
But yeah, episode 5, chapter 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm terrible with the episode like numbers. I'm just going with chapters every week, so it always throws me off. But yeah, chapter 13, the Jedi. Crazy.
Oh yeah.
Crazy stuff. All right, heads up, before we get into this week's episode, we just wanted to talk about everything regarding the casting in this episode. Obviously, because of the allegations and ongoing court case against Rosario Dawson family, we do appreciate that a lot of our trans and non-binary listeners may have found this episode hard to watch. We understand and we hear you. So we're going to be donating $13 to the GoFundMe set up by our friend Maggie Lovett, and of which all the proceeds of that go to the Transgender Law Center. Yeah, we'll also be providing relevant educational links in the description below, so don't forget to check that out. We just didn't want to, skip past the context around this episode. We do appreciate that a lot of our listeners are obviously trans and non-binary, so we do appreciate the context. We didn't just skip that in our thoughts of the episode. We didn't skip that when we watched the episode. It is part of the episode, whether it likes it or not. So yeah, we're not going to skip past that completely. We wanted to acknowledge that and, not just jump in, and be like, yay, Star Wars. But yeah, why don't we just dive into this episode now and start with our main thoughts on chapter 13.
If by the time this hits your YouTube feed, if our reaction video is not yet up, I'm not sure what the order of that is going to be. One thing about this episode is I very clearly, as you will see, had a very emotional response right away. Which when you throw Ahsoka Tano in live action, that was just gonna happen for me. It happened with Bo and it happened with Ahsoka because my Clone Wars babies will always just be the most precious to me. It was a very, very overwhelming episode. I think that's one of the biggest things is just, I can't believe this is happening. I do wish the context was a little bit different. And this is obviously a privilege of not being trans or non-binary, is that since it didn't actively to me look like her, I was able to have that disconnected. I know that that's obviously not something, that everybody can do. or has the privilege of being able to do. But that being said, as far as this episode goes, it was just an emotional ride. I mean, Ahsoka, my love, my one true precious baby Ahsoka, and the Mandalorian, and cradling baby Grogu, and name dropping Grand Admiral Thrawn, like we're gonna bring him into the story of the Mandalorian. There was just and little Morai sitting in the corner of the tree, and there were so many things that hit the right notes for me. One of the critiques I've seen is that Mando is becoming very formulaic, and I do see that as critique, and I've seen it play out. However, right now this formula is really working for me. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I cried my little eyes out for like the entire thing, and yeah, there's a lot of new roads to take, and I have no idea how this season is going to look at the end of it. So that's my thought.
Yeah, Nicky.
Yeah, I think that's I think the word Claire used is overwhelming is pretty apt, because I think I'm still sort of struggling to figure out like what to say, because I mean, I guess the easy part is I did really enjoy it. It's like I won't be like it's the greatest episode of season 2 so far, but I think it was very like artistically purposeful, and it had a very specific flavor. And I think you're gonna see a varying reaction to that flavor. And I think that's sort of the thing I'm sort of getting now, is like you can love it or not, and I think that's just entirely dependent on the person, like most art is. And I think if you like see anybody try to tell you it's the worst thing or the best thing, just make your own mind up. it's not anybody making declarations to those effects are not the most, like, you don't have to listen to them. But yeah, I think it was fascinating. I mean, I guess we'll jump into like details later, but I was surprised at how fast we got the blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just out of the gates. But yeah, I thought there's such a specific flavor to this. I thought Dave Filoni did a great job. I thought it was his best Mando episode. Again, because of intent, and I didn't think it was aimless or anything. I think he very much hit what he was going for and what Jon Favreau agrees to go for. So I thought it was really a great episode. Revelations galore. There were times where I got a little misty-eyed, and we'll get into that stuff later too. But yeah, no, I thought this was a great episode. I, like many others, have seen a lot of different reaction to it. But if you're coming to listen, I won't speak for everyone, but if you want to hear negativity towards this episode from me, I'll probably be disappointing you today.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I feel the same sort of way. Like, it's not like we actively go into praise things or shit on things. It's just sometimes people just don't like stuff. Sometimes people love stuff. It's fine. For me personally, I like the episode. I had a very visceral reaction, as you can see in the reaction video with Claire. A very emotional reaction in some cases. Yeah. I don't think it's the best episode of the season. I still think episode with Bo-Katan is the best one so far. I don't know if it's Dave's best episode still. It's conflicted in my mind. I still really like episode 1, but I don't know whether that's because I have a sort of fondness for that setting up of everything. But I think he did a good job here. I really liked the stylistic of it. I think I hated myself for saying this on the actual reaction. I'm going to hate myself for saying it now. But the Kurosawa, obvious, the obvious homaging there of the, samurai films and also the Western elements as well. I thought it was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny though. It was one of those episodes which was actually longer than the previous few, but felt quicker.
Yes.
Not the same for you guys.
100%. I feel like I blinked, and I blinked all of those tears out of my eyes, and it was like over.
Yeah, Claire cried pretty early on, like emotionally.
Like,
and I'm not
pretty
saying
pretty early on. I mean, immediately.
I mean, yeah, like
Instantly.
we saw the blades. It's like, okay, we're gone. She's gone.
She's gone. She's not going to come back from this one, guys. So if you expected anything but me by the end of it sounding congested and pathetic, then you weren't going to get that either.
But the thing is, like, I'm not putting that out in like she cried first. I tried very hard not to cry. I was like, okay, keeping my emotions in, keeping them in check. Getting there. Okay, calm down a little bit. And then there's a name drop. And you will see in the reaction, I basically started just flailing.
Full on fish out of water, both of us.
My God. Like, we'll get to that in a second, but ridiculous. I've never seen us both. I mean, we had the episode 9 stuff. We were like, that was crazy enough. This was like, it was close. We weren't expecting that.
No.
Ridiculous. How ridiculous. Right, let's just start off with the episode.
Yes.
So, obviously, the episode opens up in the forest moon of Corvus, which looks a lot like Mustafar in episode 9, like the deforested. Is that a word? That's not a word. I made that up. Deforestation element of the planet. Very, nice little global warming nod, I guess, on the folks at the Mandalorian. Maybe Lucasfilm really want you to care about trees. I think that's what this whole arc is about. And yeah, like you said, straight away we see Ahsoka Tano, played by Rosario Dawson, attacking a group intent on killing her. Now, these folks, I was really intrigued about what they were, because we said straight up, like, are they Imperial? Because they had like the sort of badges that seemed Imperial, but they, didn't look very. It was like they looked Imperial, but they didn't. It was very confusing. So yeah, it's like, oh, what are they like? What's their game here? Like, is Ahsoka just going out like a Ronin, doing whatever she wants to help save the galaxy? Is this pre or post Rebels finale scene? But let's just throw that all away for like 1 second. Those white blades looked incredible in live action.
Dirty.
Yeah.
Straight
so
up dirty.
Good.
And the sound too. If you ignite a white crystal in the Galaxy's Edge lightsabers, it's the exact same sound.
Oh.
Ooh.
And you sent me one of Dems for Crimbus last year. So.
All part of the plan, obviously.
Oh, we are blessed.
Get out of here, Maul. You're not in this one. But yeah, I a lot to talk about Ahsoka's look and design. I know some people weren't a big fan of how she looked, but I felt that they did a pretty good job, live action wise. I think there is a distinction. I think the back of Ahsoka's is quite longer in the Rebels. Is it a Leiku? I can't remember if it's Leiku
Montrell's
or
Dooku.
Montrell's. Yeah, her Dooku was just too short in this.
Her Dooku was definitely too short. This Dooku is. I'm about to get real short with this Dooku. Come here. There we go. Okay.
He's like, hello.
Okay.
This is
you talking Mendo without me?
A posh Serrano man.
Honestly, he's like, you will stop podcasting and you will hug me immediately. Hi. Hi.
He loves a hug.
He does love a good hug.
Like
he just got fed, so he's happy.
There we go.
It didn't bother me too much. I know people said, "Oh, it looks like bad, like the Twilight sort of design," but not Twilight. Togruta. Sorry, getting my species mixed up here. But I think they all look, you know, fairly the same in the live action stuff. It's not like they're always perfect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a
I think
practical effect.
like I've seen people post the side by side, which by the way, don't do this. The episode dropped like just dropped.
Oh yeah,
So don't do this yet. Send
Chill
it to your DMs and talk to the rest of the internet later. But I saw a lot of people post the side by side of the animation from Rebels and Rosario. And the thing, and obviously I get it because yeah, the Montreals, they're shorter, you know, certain things are different, but also she's not a cartoon anymore. So I'm not like, I don't have any qualms with any changes in that way, just because naturally they're not going to be side by side perfection as where we've seen her. So I don't really, I'm not that much of an attention to detail kind of person when it comes to that sort of thing. And I'm not a cosplayer either. I mean, I have cosplayed, but I'm not an Ahsoka cosplayer. I've seen that is a bit like from among them. I've seen a lot of complaints because I've never made Montrals before either, so I can see why there might be some complaints in that department. But that's just personally my cup of tea. Is a little sweeter, a little more honey in my cup of tea than yours when it comes to that, and that's fine. And that's all fine.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
saw a few people suggest that they should have hired a cosplayer,
Mhm.
and then I guess what uses like Ashley's voice. I get it. Like I see that. I think it would have been harder to do that though.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have an actor. Yeah, I think for me that specific part of the look is it looked very much Clone Wars Ahsoka.
Yes.
And I think it's also fine. It's like this is a pretty small hill to get over. And I also think there's likely a scenario where they tried the bigger Montrails and it's a very physical like part to try and execute live
Yes.
action. That was probably pretty cumbersome. And they were like, okay, we can bring it down a little.
Like you can't have it like looking like you're cutting off your Montrails every time you spin. Like, you're right. There's probably functionality to it.
And especially with the hood, like,
yes.
Again, this is live action. Like, it's not animation where you can break the boundaries of physics
Yeah.
just to like put a hood on. So yeah, I think that's a pretty small stakes thing to you can get over when watching it, because I think in general she looked pretty much as you would hope a live action Ahsoka would. I wouldn't know what else to like ask for
I feel like
in live action Ahsoka.
That's the best if that's the best they could do. That I'm not gonna like poo on that. I think I had the same reaction with Maul in Solo, where it's like it's not exactly the same, but it's clearly Darth Maul. It's clearly the character's been through the stuff that happened in those like series, so it's not a big issue to me. Like I can just put it in my head and be like, okay, or different medium. So yeah, I really liked the costume. I thought it was a nice little mixture of Rebels and also the Clone Wars final arc. More so the Clone Wars stuff. I don't think it. I think some people were suggesting it might take away from the progress of the characterization of Ahsoka and Rebels. I guess people were expecting her to have the big white cloak and the staff. I don't think that's the case, because obviously, although that is based on like a Tolkien element, she isn't Gandalf.
That was kind of a dirty,
is
dusty
Gandalf.
old planet. Can you imagine all of the stains on that white robe?
Yeah,
Immediately.
exactly.
Just saving herself some work.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Yeah.
The
She's
gray
not working
covers the
from, like,
stains
a
better.
fabric soft the company. She has to get out there, and she's got a nice grey cloak too. She might want to wear that sometimes.
Girl's got options.
Exactly. Like I get it. I get people want that thematic element towards it.
It also
but
sounds like a
also,
set nightmare.
yeah, like don't just copy Lord of the Rings though,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I think it's also been a while, right? Like
Yeah.
the world has changed. I think that's another thing. Like, I don't know if we'll get into this later, specifically more like the characterization of Ahsoka and how she acts.
we can get into now if you want. Like, I guess since we're
Yeah, I
talking
mean,
about
just
Ahsoka.
the point I was gonna make was it's been 9 years since we actually talked to her. Like, at least 9 years. I'm pretty sure that's the time for. Like, yeah, we saw her in the white cloak, but we don't know like we haven't talked to her since the World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I mean, it's a different world. We don't know what she's been through. She's seen all sorts, I can assume. And it's like, yeah, maybe maybe she isn't fully that leveled up Ahsoka the White that everyone thought she was. And that's also fine.
Yeah.
and I think also like I also thought Ahsoka was very like mellow to a degree.
Mm.
Like she's seen some shit, probably. Like, we don't know. And I think it's part of the character where she is a little more maybe reserved now, maybe a little more cautious of the world. And I think this sort of jumping ahead, but like we talked about the deforestation and how you've built this scenario where it's like a dead planet, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about these like allegories and themes and stuff, and it's not new to Star Wars, but like there's it literally, you look at that planet, there's no hope. There is death, there's destruction, there are people in insanely crazy electrocuting whatever those like like the Star Wars version of a crucifix.
That's what I was
Like,
saying. Yeah,
yeah.
crucifixions basically. Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I mean, and Ahsoka is also very much leaning into that I am no Jedi, I'm gonna take some motherfuckers out.
Yes.
And it's a dirty like place, and it's not pleasant in any way. And I think what I love about the end is how like it's meeting Din and Grogu.
Grogu.
It restored some life to her. I feel like she's been in this galaxy for the past 9 years at least, or 5, like just seeing shit, like, and how it's busted, and she's just seeing dead worlds, and she's trying to fight bad people to save innocent people, and
You
I
can win
can
a
see that.
rebellion and it still doesn't do a damn thing.
Right. Right. And like we don't know, again with the quest for rebels, we don't know to what degree they've been successful. Because obviously she's still looking for someone. And it's like, yeah, I can imagine she's seen a lot of bad in the past few years. And that to me, like, that makes a more cautious, a quieter Ahsoka seem believable. But then after meeting Grogu, and sort of she has this feel, she smiles at the end. And it's like, that's like the restoration of hope. That's like, even though I'm on this planet that is desolate, there's still a future, and a future that can be self-determined and stuff. And I thought that was the Ahsoka we know so well coming back. So I feel like it was all very like deliberate, and that's why that's something I don't really get about the more harsh criticism of the characterization specifically, because I thought that was on the screen, on show.
I
Yeah,
think
and I
so
think
too. Yeah. And
I
one
think
thing
you.
I s- one oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, you go.
The only thing I was going to say is another really telling thing is where we see her at the end of Rebels. She's alone right now. Why? Something has happened to keep her separate. And it sounds like it ain't that the peppiest of things, you know?
I think for me as well, we need to remember that, like, in between when we last saw her and now, her best friend died.
Yeah.
Her brother died. Like, and regardless of what he did as Vader and stuff, there was always still that I'm never gonna let you go. Like, I'm gonna help try and save you. We don't know if she tried to help find some sort of way to try and help him. We don't know how she dealt with that. Like, you know, there's all this stuff. And I also don't understand the criticism about. I appreciate people in their own minds over the years have built up this, I don't know, understanding that Ahsoka and Luke never meet. But I don't know if that. Why is that a hard and set rule?
Yeah.
People just assumed she wasn't going to make it past episode 3, but she did. I don't understand why she can't correlate with Luke at the same time. So that's the thing I don't personally understand. If anyone wants to talk out to me about it, I'm willing to listen. I didn't think there was that much out of character for her. I also think that obviously, like, from her point of view, Din is a stranger.
Yes.
And although she is very open, she's also lived through, like, people, and she doesn't know who to trust. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wasn't too surprised why she went straight out like that. I also thought it was really interesting when we'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute, but especially with Grogu, like you said about her connecting to Grogu, she must have known him, right? Because they were both at the temple at the same time.
Possibly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know to what degree we can assume that's a big place.
Right.
Because I didn't get the impression she knew him. But I mean, it's fascinating that they were there, like, together.
Right.
Which, my God, man, that whole part, I was like, not okay. Like,
we'll get to that.
Like, oh my God.
We'll get to that. The next thing we see, Din arrives on the planet, finds the city in disarray, very Kurosawa style, silence, and sort of, everything's decrepit, while the rich magistrate thrives inside, which was a nice little, the rulers, the evil rulers of this place, this town, have this incredible, beautiful display, whereas whilst outside of the city, everyone's struggling.
Yeah.
People are fearful to even talk. I love that sort of element of that storyline. The design work in this episode was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very, and obviously Kurosawa in Japanese style. It felt very Bond-like as well, the way the set design was. A nice giant lake, full of fishes. Me and Claire
the main building really reminded me of like stuff you see at Galaxy's Edge too.
Ooh.
Yeah, we said even the front of the entrance has that big Force Awakens Jakku sign that's obviously been reused again. Which it's fun little design work. The fishies in the pond, me and Claire laugh because obviously Baby Yoda's like, look, this is dinner for me, okay?
Always gotta eat.
It's like I know I was hiding in the bag 5 seconds ago, but snack. I am also very food motivated, so I very much understand that.
Just dive out of a bag into the water. Yeah, and then we see the magistrate has a staff made of Beskar, which is intriguing considering what we learn later on. I have to say, I was like, what's so interesting about this? And like the vibrational properties of how it reacts to the other bit was just so cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it so much. We then find out that Mando's tasked with killing Ahsoka. Obviously, he takes that on board because he wants the Beskar and he wants to, find Ahsoka. A fun battle ensues, which I thought was really cool, how it showed the true power of the Beskar.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, holy shit, he's invincible. He's got the invisible code on.
I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know Beskar could do that. As far as I'm aware, that's a reveal. Because I'm pretty sure some dudes got sliced in like Clone Wars and Rebels. So I thought that was really cool. And I mean, yeah, we talk about seeing that and a Beskar melee weapon, and I assume at some point he's got to fight Moff Gideon with that Darksaber. So it's kind of cool, like laying these pieces down for Beskar on lightsaber combat.
Lord help me when that happens.
It's gonna be dope. And then he carries it. Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, I really like that introduction, like the classic sort of mythologization of the Mandalore versus the Jedi, and how they're like, well, yeah, well, fuck you.
And such creative
when
fight choreography too.
Yeah, like especially there's a bit where Ahsoka does like a jump over the tree. Felt very Attack of the Clones. Like I could just hear Tamara Morrison go, "Hoo!" I just loved it so much. I thought it was a really cool scene with them fighting.
Yeah.
You know it's not gonna last long, but I love that little interaction between them. But that effect though on the Beskar is just so cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, shout out to Din for being Din, and even though he needs this woman and he doesn't want to fight her, he still goes for the flamethrower.
Every time.
He's just like, oh shit, didn't mean to. It's just reflexive.
Also, shout out to the fireproofing on Ahsoka's cape and outfit.
Yeah.
Like,
well, she learned from Anakin.
Aw.
Ew.
Sad.
Then you will die. By the way, always use fireproof. It's like, oh, okay, great, good tip. Yeah, that's a fun little scene, and then obviously she notices Baby Yoda sitting there, just chilling out, like, what's going on again? Why is Daddy fighting another stranger? But yeah, Mando tells Ahsoka that he's been given a mission to give Baby Yoda to one of its kind. We cut to a lovely little night sequence, which I thought was beautifully lit, like the big moon in the background. And the cutest scene, I don't know, you'll see when we watch the reaction, but we were just like, I was just cooing, like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, oh my God, look at him, they're just talking.
But were they?
They were just staring at each other and reading each other's minds. They were mind reading friends. It was so cute.
Oh my God.
Do you think he has like a really in-depth, like posh voice?
I imagine straight up James Earl Jones. Just kidding.
Yeah. Fucking Allstate commercial guy.
Yes.
I was thinking of like, Gremlins 2, the brain gremlin. Like, oh yeah, civilized. Oh yeah, that's not civilized. Yeah, Ahsoka. I was in the Jedi Temple. That's all I could think of was in my head. But I was like, for one moment, it's like, are they having a staring contest?
Yeah. No, yeah, that was the thing where it's like, are they? Because obviously, like, yeah, the first few seconds, you're like, oh, they must be talking, and I love the Din giving them the privacy but not wanting to, because he's just like, let me get in here, and then yeah, you of course think they're talking, and then you just sort of keep watching it and like, I don't think anyone's saying anything, and then it's like, yeah, this idea of them communicating through feeling, through the Force, and like, and how expressive that actually can be between two Force users like that. And it makes you think about every other like confrontation in Star Wars, between two, or just any scene between two Force users, and like to what degree they are understanding and reading each other. So yeah, I thought that was incredible. And like, yeah, of course we get that name reveal, which was a lot to handle. But I mean, for like, I was just there, like, I couldn't believe it, and I was getting, like I said, a little misty-eyed. Our little guy, our little Grogu, he's been through so much.
Oh,
like,
my God.
He has.
I cannot believe like the degree to which he's lived his little
This
50 years.
literally that YouTube video, Kermit has a Vietnam flashback.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's literally Baby Yoda.
No, that's the
Oh,
thing.
no.
And he, in reliving everything that he remembers to Ahsoka, he tires himself out. And he gets all exhausted because he's been through so much. Damn it.
Honestly, like the level
man.
of trauma that kid has been through, a 50-year-old kid has been through, that'll just change how you grow up. He was just a little thing at the time too. So early on in his life, he's been through so much pain.
You have to remember
Yeah.
so hard.
these sequences where we see him interact with kids in the show is so delightful. How kids automatically like respond to him.
Yeah.
Now imagine how connected he was to these other kids, his friends, and then Anakin butchered them in front of him. Like I was saying, it's like I did not have on my Mandalorian bucket list Anakin murdering Baby Yoda's friends. I just didn't have it on my bingo list. I didn't have it. I was like, wasn't expecting that. I didn't believe that was canon, but it is now.
And like another thing, like very specifically, we don't know yet, but I've always really been curious of why he's in a like fucking egg crate thing in like held by mercenaries. Like,
right.
How did he get there specifically based on everything like we can sort of try to piece together? And yeah, no, it's incredible to think like what he's been through and just how like the world opens up when Din's like, wait, you got a name? He's like, Grogu, and then he looks at him. He's like, eh!
Oh, the look on his face when he says his name for the first time, it just ripped my heart out of my seams. Like, I've been trying to tell you for so long, I just didn't know how. And I'm like, oh, my whole soul, it's getting ripped out of my butt. I can't do this right now. Oh,
it was so good. I was like,
oh my god.
Oh.
He knows his name and he recognizes it. It's like, oh, he knows.
It's so sweet.
He can understand me now. He's like, give me the fucking cookies. Oh, but yeah, I don't. But I know people don't like the name Grogu, and I guess we're gonna just keep calling him Baby Yoda anyway because it's fun. But also I do like the name Grogu. I think it's very George. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that he came up with it. I guess Grogu.
I have this like dream that George was like, you know, that picture of him with the puppet.
That's when he came up with the name.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, look at you, you little Grogu. And they're like, what was that, George? He's like, oh no, I was just riffing. just or like, riffing. Yeah, or like he was just like eating a sandwich and like it's like Grogu. They're like, what?
I'm still convinced. He just shits them out of his mouth, like out.
Yeah, it's just reflexive.
Meeting the set on episode 3 for this season, and then being like, look, George, we brought Bo-Katan to life. He's like, Axe Woes. Axe Woes. I'm gonna go now.
You better call that guy Axe Woes.
I like it. I think it's very very cool. Also, does this mean that Yaddle, Yoda, and Grogu lived in the same place at the same time, all in Coruscant?
Except there's some Yaddle erasure because she's like, I knew one person like this. One.
Well, Yaddle might.
Yeah, when does Yaddle bounce?
Right.
That's a canon black hole that needs to be, you know.
Well, maybe she gave
really,
birth and deal with it.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those things like this is terrible. Maybe it's one of those things like if you're a nun or something, they might try and like hush you at the door. That's essentially, you know.
Jesus.
What I'm here for. I don't think they actually do that.
You must.
But...
You're just like, I'm sorry. Be this way. I'm sorry. It has to be.
He's like, we can never tell.
I know I'm the father, but I do not care.
He's like, can never tell you who his real father is. He's like, think it was Caddy Mundi, a bit of a slut he is.
Literal dickhead. It has to be that guy.
That's on the extra figure box.
Oh my.
But yeah, I thought it was really cool that obviously it's like another name drop for Coruscant. And that he's keeping his abilities in the down low. Like that, it's not that he, as we thought previously, was exploring his abilities. It's that he's actively kept them hidden for his own safety, which is
Mhm.
Gotta
heartbreaking.
protect
And I
himself.
think retrospectively, if you go back and watch the first season of Mando, that scene where he saves Din from the beast
Hmm.
hits even harder.
And the fire in the
Mm,
finale
yeah. And it
has
just
very
tuckered him
deliberate
out.
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was again, it's a lot to be given
Yeah.
on the spot. And yeah, it created this just whole new level for this little thing that we're all like obsessed with. And
Yeah.
and I think like that just sort of extends further when they try to or she tries to like test him, right? And
Yeah.
I think the fact that he was using it like because he's scared, like
Yeah.
that's like what it comes down to. Like he's hiding this thing because he's sort of scared of what everything means for him. And I also love how Din was like they're like of course, like the dad he is, like with his kid at an audition. And he's like, come on, you can do it. You can do it. And he's like, damn it, kid, come on. Like, don't look bad in front of Ahsoka.
Yeah, well,
I thought that was hilarious.
we'll go on to the training scene, but before we just
Mhm.
jump in, I was just gonna finish off by saying, like, I think this episode is a great way of reminding us because we joke about it all the time, but it's a great reminder that he is 50 years old and he
Yeah.
has had a life.
Hmm.
He's still obviously a child, but clearly been through some shit.
Yeah. And I
That'll
was
stick with it.
He absolutely has, which is it's there's so much like trauma discussion throughout Star Wars, like the stuff that everybody like the things that people do to protect themselves and survive. It's always interesting and it's makes me so sad that this little beautiful little creature that we adore for being the cutest little thing on the planet that you don't want anyone to go through it. And so it just that hurt me real deep. And you can see it in the
Just
reaction
you saying
video.
that, just you saying that reminds me, like, I guess, past like few days, I've got my sister into like the more deeper Star Wars things, meaning
Yes.
animated shows. Um, and it was like, and she's a psychiatrist, and she was like, so the story of Star Wars is people really need to help other people feel their feelings.
Yes.
Like just acknowledgement of feeling. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's just funny when you specifically mention like the trauma of it all. And then like yeah, that's what these characters are fucking dealing with.
Yeah.
And like Anakin as the perfect case of not knowing what to do about it and not having the support system to do anything about it.
Absolutely.
So
Which is a
yeah.
nice tie-in to the next segment, obviously, which is the training sequence. We see Ahsoka trying to reach out with the rock. And we said this immediately at the beginning of the episode. As soon as Baby Yoda was playing the little stick again, we're like, "Look, this is coming into play at some point."
Mm-hmm.
Like
The little
and
ball.
people were like, "Just formulaic." It's like, yeah, but also shut up. It's fun. Yeah, that bit where it's like he's like, you can see the light bulb moment in Din's brain where it's like, and he's like, oh, "Baby Yoda, look, I've got this," and he's like,
Instantly.
"It's like good work,
Give
man."
it to me.
It's like I need this. It's so good. And he's like the proud parent. I said to Claire, it's a bit like in the film where dad takes the kid to play baseball. He's like, "You did it, kid! You hit it out of the park!" Like picks him up, like spins around. But yeah, that leads into a really great sort of sequence where and again, I think people complained about the characterization of Ahsoka here, but I think it's post episode 6 a really good point, which is the fact that Grogu has this attachment to Din.
Yeah.
Obviously, as we learned from the prequels, attachment equals fear. Like you don't want to lose what you have. So I think it's natural for her to be like, "Look, I'm concerned about this attachment because my best friend murdered people."
Not great.
I get
Yeah.
it.
I mean, it's like I don't think she's going against the lesson we've learned of the Jedi Order messing up, because if you can identify a clearly or potentially unhealthy attachment, like that's kind of the point. It's not like it's like, oh, he loves, sorry, can't. like she's recognizing, yeah, the danger of what it would mean to him to separate them. And
Yeah.
that's something that I think is very core to Star Wars. I mean, you go and listen to Dave Filoni's end of episode 2 in the gallery thing, where he specifically talks about Qui-Gon gets the danger of pulling Anakin. It's not that he disagrees with the notion. I think it's just that he's willing to take the extra care to manage it,
to be the father figure, the parental guidance.
And he knew how dangerous it was to have taken Anakin from his mother at that age with all that he knows. And I think that's Ahsoka recognizing that, not falling into the traps of the Order. She's can clearly see that this bond is very strong, and it's not something you can just pull from. And yeah, I mean, who better than her to know the bad shit that can happen.
Yeah. And another funny thing, obviously she's got a front row ticket, and at this point we're assuming since we're through episode 6, she's gotten to some degree the full story, because at least in reading Bloodline, you've realized that Luke ain't so secretive about, Vader being saved or whatever. That's something Leia didn't touch with a 10-foot pole. But Luke was just redeemed, and everyone else was like, okay, whatever. Sure. Say that to Alderaan, you bitches. But
and Rey knows the stories.
And yeah, exactly. So it's a very interesting thing, because of course she would be more hesitant because now she's gotten the full picture, and even with closure, she's like, well, that wasn't. If I can prevent that from happening to somebody else, I can't let it. You just got to be cautious. The Jedi are such a fragile thing at this point. And maybe not even a thing at all, really. Just Luke going off finding his artifacts and chilling out at this point.
Yeah. And the downfall of the Jedi was very rooted in how rigid they were about these rules.
Yeah.
And I think Ahsoka sort of recognizing that is allowing it to be fluid. I don't see how she's fallen into that trap. I see her very much having learned from it, and knowing when that push and pull can happen, kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, I don't understand to whatever degree that's a criticism of the character.
Yeah. Also, do you guys have any predictions at who actually saved Grogu? Who is your guess? They're like, someone hid him away. Do we know said someone? Will we find out said someone? Will said someone come into play?
I really couldn't guess. I wonder if that will eventually come to play.
Ahsoka, you can read his mind. Just say it.
What if he didn't know though?
Yeah.
It could have been some
dude. There is the suggestion that he is he's got trauma, so he can't remember everything.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. She does mention that there's a dark spot in his memory after that point.
Yeah.
But I want to know.
Yeah, no, that's
and
fascinating.
Why? And why did they save him? Why did they steal him away? Was it just a situational thing? Did they have a plan? Was it Palpatine? Was it a Jedi? What the heck is going on? I want to know really bad. Really bad.
What should be Order 66, where he's go to the Jedi Temple, kill everyone, but also grab this little baby Yoda man.
Except for the little green one.
Every single Jedi, including your friend Obi-Wan Kenobi, but excluding Baby Yoda, is now an enemy of the Republic.
Anakin's like, the fuck?
That seems like Barry's.
Yoda?
Clone Wars is
I thought a Sith dealt in absolute.
Rex, but every single Jedi is still an enemy of the Republic, except Baby Yoda.
I also love the idea or the I guess revelation that many masters trained him at some like he learned from a few people. Not like obviously not the Padawan experience, but like I think we sort of have seen through canon kind of things where like the younglings will be sort of like, and now you learn from this guy for a little bit, and
All right,
just sort of like
class.
spreading of knowledge kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, who might he have like learned from? Like who did he hang out with? Like there's just so many just like great little questions like lingering about just these little specifics.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things I thought was interesting as well was like, because obviously, like we've seen before, like the whole Yoda taught Obi-Wan because when he was a youngling. So maybe we get like he got taught by a little bit of Obi-Wan, maybe a bit of Anakin, maybe a bit of Evan Peel. I don't know.
Oh God.
Good luck with that, Ross. I just think it's interesting to see where they go with that. Maybe we'll see a few flashbacks for Baby Yoda. Maybe they'll de-age Hayden.
Good Lord. Lord help
Puts
us
a
all.
lightsaber to his face and then walks away. Saves him.
Oh my God.
He's
Yeah.
baby Yoda now, but basically a fetus Yoda in the flashback. My Lord.
He's so small.
He's so small. Sorry. All very serious here.
Actually, this is really random. I should have put this at the beginning, but when you guys were like about to click on the episode, did you read the description? It's a fucking jack shit.
It's the most like, because I said to Claire, I was like, did you read the description? And Claire was like, look, I don't want to read it because I don't want to get spoiled. I was like, trust me, this will spoil fuck all.
Oh, they've actually updated it.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, journeys to a world ruled by a cruel magistrate who has made a powerful enemy. But yeah, literally at midnight, it was the Mandalorian and the child like continue their journey through the galaxy. Right. Like it was the most like basic thing. It's like times like that when something's gonna happen, something weird's gonna go down.
That one, to be honest, I think it's funnier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Mandalorian does something.
Tune in, you bitches.
You're gonna watch anyway. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what I write here?
Yeah, then we go to the bit where they attack the village, have some sort of cool samurai action with a Western standoff. Pretty cool stuff. I like the Din, sort of fighting sequence with Michael Biehn.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. It took me a while to realize.
Yeah, shout out to Michael Biehn, like joining the ranks of guys you thought were gonna have a bigger part. And just showing up for some bit-ass character.
Hey, he might have a bit of Beskar in his pocket. You don't know that.
Is that a little Beskar in your pocket, or you just happen to see me? Sorry.
You're in the cod piece.
Well, you gotta protect the assets, okay?
I mean, we know that they had, Beskar. There is something I want to point out, and there's a picture from our Discord. I don't think it's very clear to show you guys, but did you notice something about the droids in that place?
The assassin ones?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the thing that was slapped on their heads?
Mm-hmm. Did you see it, Claire?
Oh, slapped on their heads? I was distracted by the cape because it's very Phasma stylized. I can't even see it.
Can you see that outline?
No. What is it?
What if I show you?
It's 3 penises.
What if I show you this?
Oh, hello. Okay.
Yeah, the droids had the 7th Fleet on their heads.
Well, isn't that a little bit interesting? So Thrawn is involved with the 7th Fleet now?
That is his fleet, isn't it?
It is. Well, yeah. Well, not now, but like,
R.I.P.
What's left of it.
yeah.
And then when Paddy and then showed up for 5 seconds in Rebels. Sir, there's loads of whales here.
Just help.
But that means like what's left of it has been like found, though, right? I guess. Well, Thrawn is clearly contacting his buddies in the not so chaos right now, which is interesting as to what that means for the rest of sequence.
Yeah, because I guess we just sort of assumed that he was like fucked off. But
Right.
obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed he would go back to the Chiss.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
what I thought too.
very interesting. Yeah, where were we? Post-training scene.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Though. I mean, like, he's most notorious for taking part in the post-episode 6 era. So, you know, makes sense that maybe Rebels was like, look, we can't have him interacting in the original trilogy because he would have just done some crazy shit. He can fuck off for a bit and come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And now the Defender project getting not leaked, but released for Squadrons makes a little more sense.
A little bit.
He's like, I'm being attacked by a whale here, but make my ships again, please. He's like, sorry.
If I had a TIE Defender right now, this whale would have no idea what to do.
Like, we can afford 2. Okay. Yeah, we see a really cool, obviously, fight sequence where the Beskar spear does, because we like as soon as we saw it, I was like, "The fuck? What are you playing at? Like, this isn't fight. You can't have a spear visit." And I went, "Oh, it's Beskar shit." This is gonna. I was like, my brain is like, "Oh my god, pretty cool fight sequence." But let's just skip all that because who gives a shit? Let's talk about the Grand Admiral Thrawn of it all.
Yep, it's happening.
I creamed me pants. I think we all did. Like,
yeah,
that was the moment I mentioned about the reaction. I was like,
we died. I
mean, yeah, that's the thing where, I mean, it was automatically a very interesting question. Just based on what we know about Ahsoka, what could be so important to know from this lady?
That's the thing. Like, I was saying to Claire, literally in my head, it was like a pinball machine, and the 2 little toggles were doing this to me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was going, Moff Gideon. The other one was saying Emperor Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, which one is it going to be? And then out of nowhere, this massive giant ball just dropped down on my head. I was like,
blue ball.
Blue balls. Charlie got hit with blue balls. Checks out.
I'll tell you what, after hearing that now, there are no more blue balls. I'll tell you that.
Oh, God. Oh,
yeah, no, that was absolutely wild. Because I think, yeah, it's like, just from what we're like trying to like figure out about Ahsoka at this time frame, I was assuming it was something like Force related. But no, yeah, they went straight for the fucking blue right there. And yeah, it's so fascinating. And I know people are like freaking out about it in also not a good way, because it just seems like there's so much stuff being like injected. I think as far as I would guess right now, Thrawn never shows up in Mando. Ahsoka never comes back in Mando, and that's future project.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I like the idea of like, this is where we are. This is what the MCU did for 10 years, right? Like, we are in this gigantic sprawling like IP where characters will just be colliding and interacting, and like not everything has to be in the Mandalorian. And I mean, like I just think of like in Winter Soldier when they mentioned Doctor Strange, and it's like Doctor Strange and Cap never talked like ever in the MCU, but they still put that in there. Because it makes the like world feel alive for me. And like when you're in a story, it adds to this feeling of there are 20 million other stories going on at the same time. So yeah, I think
exactly.
that's like, yeah, I think the safe bet is it won't be an issue for Mando that I think some people are afraid it will be. So yeah, I think no harm done.
Yeah. And I hope that in that series, the one thing though, is I hope that that series or in this series, we somehow get some sort of clarification as to how much are these guys working together? Are they just kind of doing their own thing, like their own agenda of what they think that the post-Empire galaxy needs to be doing? Is, you know, it's just there's so much, because obviously we know we're gonna get First Order, Final Order. Um, who where do you belong, all of you? Where do you belong? How do we interact with each other? Do we know each other? Do we send each other Christmas cards? Like, I don't know what is going on.
Wouldn't it be crazy if we get like a sequel Rebel series where, like, I don't know, we'll talk about it another time about if it should be animated or stuff, but if we saw Ezra walk out, like maybe like Thrawn and Ahsoka meet again, and they're like, "Where's Ezra?" And then Ezra walks out on like this like Imperial style uniform.
Oh God!
And like, what's going on here? It's like, we need to fight the fucking grist, baby.
I mean, yeah. I mean, imagine a animated Din, right? Like, imagine referencing this meeting in an animated show.
Oh, that's so good. That's what I'm looking forward to
Animated
the most. Is
baby
reversal, retroactive reversal. Like we've seen live action go into animation. I want to see the other way around. Sorry, yeah, animation go into live action. I want to see, you know, Din hanging out with, you know, 3PO.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I think crap, what are we talking about? I've just blanked out.
Just the ending of the episode, basically. Now, like,
yeah,
the major two last thing. We've got the Thrawn stuff. We can talk about.
Oh, that was it. That's what I was going to mention about Thrawn. I wonder to what degree he's actually working towards any sort of Imperial revival.
Yeah.
Especially with his own insignia slapped on things. Because I don't know, just again, not that these things have to line up necessarily, because it doesn't always. Just from the Thrawn I know we've read about, I don't see him like hanging around like Moff Gideon style.
Either.
Yeah, and it's like I don't see Thrawn sitting there saying "Long live the Empire." So I think that's what lends itself even more towards being this independent story that we'll get later, is because I don't think he's working towards these goals that Moff Gideon, who is like the true villain of the show, is. And I think that's really interesting. And it's like, what sort of like power structure is he putting in place by his like on his own? Because I don't think he has jack shit to do with the First Order.
And I don't know, one thing I did not expect is for him to be related to that particular band of mercenary people. Thrawn is a very smart tactician, and he never has struck me to the kind of as being like the kind of person that was like crucifying people and like, I don't know. Maybe that's not right. Maybe I obviously have a fondness for the character. Yeah, but that's also like there's a difference between I don't want to like talk about these kind of.
There was a tactical situation for the bombing of the city. You're right.
Correct. It's a part of the warfare. And it wasn't actually a part of like just kind of fucking around and torturing the city for what seemed to be not a lot of
those guys who were being crucified were like talking shit about art.
Well, that explains it.
They blew up an art museum.
Oh my God. Totally warranted then. There we go.
Yeah.
Van Gogh, he's okay.
And I think Right. Okay, just real quick shout out to the part in Rebels when he absolutely fucking loses it on Mr. Bean for like being on art. But
Admiral
yeah,
Bean.
I think from what I can tell, or what I would like sort of try to deduct is he only gave her like 2 of those droids. Like with the logo on it. And I would guess that those things we saw in the city was more of, I think her name was like Morgan Elspeth, I think was her name. I'd say that's more her cruelty than Thrawn's, and maybe she's just a small piece of whatever puzzle Thrawn's working. And I guess I wouldn't necessarily see what happened as representative of Thrawn. I think we can separate it.
I feel like he would show up and be like, "What is this? What are you
Yeah,
doing?"
like it didn't seem like he was very hands-on invested with what was going on there.
Yes.
But also, yeah, like with him, with the Empire in general, like it's all a means to an end, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he necessarily completely agrees with the Emperor's vision for the galaxy. But I guess now his hands are less tied, and he's like, look. But also, like, he got attacked by a fucking whale. Who knows what the fuck he's doing? Like, he could be crazy.
Could be crazy.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, space whales will do that to you.
Yeah, and it depends on like the plight of these people as well. Like, you don't know how far he will go to protect them, I guess.
Right.
So we never know. But yeah, we get like a really emotional giveaway sequence where we were like terrified that Baby Yoda was going to be leaving the show. I just assumed that beforehand. I was like, okay, this is it. I've got to prepare myself because I'm going to be the whole hammock scene where he's like looking at him lovingly. Is like, you got to go, buddy.
It's time to say goodbye.
It's like ET all over again. I was like, I'm not having this. I can't do this.
There is a very specific part that I talked a lot about with our friend Alden, where when Ahsoka's like, "So where's your friend?" And he's like, "Oh, he's in the ship." And then there's like a very brief pause that actually is 5 million hearts breaking inside Din, where he's like, "I'll go get him," and yeah, it's like it was like really okay. Like we all knew he wasn't giving him Baby Yoda. like they're not gonna change the show that fundamentally.
I mean, I didn't know that. I truly, I was like, look, it could be very bold, but I was like, I don't know where they're gonna go with this.
This episode drops. Spin-off series announced. That's the only way that I could see it being announced. Spin-off series animated, which is already pretty much done, coming in January. Like that's how I could see it being done. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
I know. I never felt that was. I always felt something was gonna change that scenario for them, and like they weren't gonna do it. But it's still like, yeah, we're not like we're supposed to experience it from their point of view. And the fact is, Din was walking to that ship like foggy helmet, tears running down that chin. He wasn't ready for it. And then the little sleepy baby, and then there's like that shot of them just sitting together.
Sharing their last moments or so.
And that line, "You're like a father to him." I was like, he is like a daddy to him. I love that.
Yeah, and like I think, and coming back to like the sort of like more aggressive criticisms of the episode, like I don't understand this idea of it not like being aimless or something. Like I thought there was like it was so clear this theme of found family and everything we sort of know and love about Star Wars, and how important it is to be able to like choose your own path to a degree. And like at the end we get this revelation about this temple on Tython. Where
that did make me laugh. What we've been saying every time, where it's like you have to go to Typhon. It's like motherfucker. Like
You
when
took me
does he
there. You
stop?
took me there. You took me there.
Yep.
Do you reckon he's gonna go? I guarantee that one Yoda's gonna be in next week's episode. I think it'd be
Well-
like, I remember him. Cool he was.
If
But can you
Frank
imagine Yoda's like,
Oz
go to
voicing a
Mamako.
Yoda
Like,
puppet
fuck this shit.
happens. Oh God.
And it's like, look, I've had enough of this. I'm gonna go home to Navarro. Just chill out for a bit.
But I think again it drills home this idea of choice, right? Like
Mhm.
let Grogu decide what his fate is, and all great moments for Star Wars heroes are when they make choices for themselves to do what they feel is right.
Yeah.
So I think this is gonna be really really intriguing of what
Yeah,
of
I feel like when everyone's
this.
saying about how Ahsoka is out of character, I feel like her saying to him, "Look, don't push a specific path onto him. Let him choose," is a very Ahsoka thing to do.
It's
Yeah.
very original finale of the Clone Wars.
Mhm.
It's like, don't push, something that and she's been through that. Like, she doesn't want to like push that onto him. He's already been through a lot,
Yeah.
and he seems happy where he is. He seems content.
Yeah.
So why not? I really liked that sort of nice little ending. The fact that Grogu has to choose his own path. But yeah, let's try and wrap up the episode as it was. First of all, this is going to be very difficult. Actually, it's not. It's going to be really easy. What is our rating for the Baby Yoda Automata?
Oh. Perfect angel.
Can I go first?
Mhm.
0.
Oh.
Absolute 0. Because when you go through that shit, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Take those cookies. I don't give a shit anymore. Like, he's been through a lot.
Oh my God. I will say maybe is that a 10 again? Sorry. I know Amanda asked that the other week.
Yeah,
but
out of 10.
I would give him a 1 because Din has very clearly several times told him, do not unscrew the ball from the thing. I'm flying in here. And then he was like, It's like, come on, don't do that. But they worked out
He
fine.
knew that was
Worked out fine.
necessary. He saw it in the future.
He saw it in the future.
For the same
Rocks
reason.
suck.
For the same reason, I was gonna go with 0.5.
0.5.
Because it's a mild abuse, but he did steal the little thing after he was told no.
He knows better.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I'm letting him off because I think that being in that Jedi temple when Anakin was butchering those kids is enough to let anyone off.
Give the man a little ball.
Yeah, let him have some fun.
I thought he was very well behaved though in general.
Oh yeah.
Especially in the city.
Mm.
Like he kind of kept it together. He didn't do anything weird. I loved when he like made the noise and Michael Biehn like looks at him and he's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "I keep it around for good luck."
Oh, yeah, that's it.
He's all of our good luck charm, to be honest.
So yeah,
Okay,
I thought he was well behaved.
If I've gone for 0, Claire's gone for 1, you've gone for 0.5. Should we round it and say 0.5 out of 10?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And finally, what would our rating be out of 10 Beskar? Who wants to go first? Nicky.
Yeah, I think again, I'm not a harsh grader ever. I don't even know if I think I get the lowest thing I've given is like an 8. So again, I was really impressed by the episode. I thought it again, like that specific flavor, I think that's just as much what we need as the crowd, just the blatant crowd pleasing stuff. So I think I'm gonna roll with a 9. I don't think it was I don't think it hit the peaks of things like the Marshal or Bo-Katan. But it's one of those ones where it like really it will stay with you kind of thing. And I had a writing teacher say, if half the class loves what you do and half the class hates it, you did something right. And I think the idea that we can have a very specific take on something that has a very particular point of view and particular style and intent, I think that's really good. And also, like, just in general, like, the stakes on this episode were going to be way higher. Like, they always are for some reason. It's like, if anyone else had directed this, nobody would have cared, but Dave Filoni directed it. And for some people, he still has things to, like, prove to them. And there's always that level of, okay, Dave, let's see what's going on. And I think that's changed. I think that has changed a lot of, like, the reaction. I don't think people would have reacted the same way if, like, just some other director was on it. And then the Ahsoka level has definitely impacted the way people were ready to, like, receive it. So I think the stakes were different. And I will go with 9 out of 10.
Perfect. Claire.
I will also go with 9 out of 10. I will say, obviously, it emotionally hit the right notes, but that's one of the things. Unless, like, if they right off the bat, they hit us with the Ahsoka, they did it in an exciting, overwhelming, dual white lightsaber wielding way. And from that point on, I was in. I was just, yep, I'm here. Sign me up. I'm great. I will sacrifice my soul to this episode. And obviously the tears prove it. Yeah, I agree, Nikki. I don't think it was quite as good. Like, after sleeping on it, I don't think it was quite as good as the Marshal, or as the heiress, not the Duchess. Also, rest in peace, McQueen. But this
you
episode...
mean the weapon, right?
Oh, I'm sad now. God, let's not bring that one back. But yeah, I think that this episode really emotionally hit me in a place that I knew it was going to, but obviously exceeded the amount of tears I thought I was gonna cry over this thing. It dropped some incredible bombs. Baby-O's got a name now. He's survived Order 66. There's so much more depth to the cute little green thing in the corner now, and so much of how I've perceived that character that I already adore has changed. So it gets me hopeful. It gets me, this episode it was the action I thought was really exciting. The payoff, the music. We haven't even mentioned the music yet. There were so many references to so many different Star Wars movies musically. And then, like, it was just lovely all around. I thought they did an excellent job with this episode, but it is not, that's the problem when you have a season that's as good as this one is. Really, it's hard. We are spoiled, but to try and rank them above each other is just like here and then there, right there.
It's one of those things where someone has to come last.
Right.
It's like, it's musical chairs. Someone's getting out. Like, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, 9 out of 10. Yeah. That's what I say.
I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. I still think that the Bo-Katan episode is my favorite of the season. And I'm still intrigued more behind the sort of, like the First Order and Imperial aspects of the story, the Mando stuff. But I really did enjoy this episode. I thought it was a fun romp. Nice little samurai Western action, obviously. It was cool to get... I think the main thing is that even though Ahsoka's in live action, which was really nice to see, my main takeaway was the nice little Baby Yoda sort of flashbacks and learning a bit more about the child and that sort of relationship between him and Din. It's just nice to see. So I'm going to go with an 8. Yeah, pretty cool.
One other thing I want to, because we did sort of like fast forward through this part. I thought the Ahsoka fighting in the city was pretty great. And I also want to shout out the love cat.
Yes.
That had a very striking appearance in the episode. I thought that was nice. And then yeah, Din going full gunslinger on Michael Biehn was pretty fantastic. So
There was also,
yeah.
before we wrap up, there was also one very specific scene that had a very animated stance about it, which is when Ahsoka cuts the bell in half, and then it's like a little.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And there's a bit that Claire pointed out, which is when she drops one of the sabers and then she does the backwards grip.
Mm-hmm.
Just
So good, pretty cool.
Yeah, because they had her fighting like normal, and I was like, I like this idea that Ahsoka was like, I'm gonna make it easy for you for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go absolutely ape on you. And it's like, yeah, I thought that was really cool. And I thought that fight in particular was just really intriguing in the sense of like how much of it happened off screen to get the perspective of. I know Michael Bihn's guy has a name. I don't know it though. And Din. And like, I thought that was just a really interesting perspective also to have. Like, I don't know how many fights we've seen where people are dueling and then other people are just standing outside, like waiting. Right. So yeah, that was just a cool thing. I thought that was just a cool segment in general.
Awesome. Well, I'm afraid that is all we have time for this week. If you like this video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when we have new content out. Don't forget you can also listen to our main show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and all major podcasting platforms. You can also follow us on Twitter at ImpSenatePod and on Instagram at Imperial Senate Pod. We also have a Discord and Twitch, and you can find the links to those as well as everything else we've mentioned on our official website, which is located at imperialsenatepodcast.com. And finally, if you'd like to help support the show, you can do so by picking up some sweet swag and merch from tpublic.com/user/the Imperial Senate Podcast, or by becoming a patron on our Patreon page. Thank you so much for listening. The Force will be with you always. Bye.